Smallpox is an extremely contagious disease, and for centuries it was considered to be the most feared disease by the human race. It was known for its slow transmission rate, which was generally much slower than other diseases such as measles or chickenpox. According to the World Health Organization, this incurable disease devastated lives around the world for at least 3,000 years.
Smallpox is caused by infection with the variola virus and can be transmitted in three different ways. The first way is through human-human contact, the second way is through indirect contact, and the last way is through air droplets, through sneezes and coughs. In rare instances, smallpox can be transferred even further, for example, through the ventilation system and through contaminated clothes.
Evidence has shown that smallpox can only be spread through humans. There's no real evidence or research done to prove that smallpox has been transmitted through via insects or animals. Therefore, we declare that smallpox was only transmitted through human interaction. Smallpox has various stages, several stages. Not all stages are contagious, so this allows everyone to realize the severity of each stage. For instance, stage 1 may seem is not contagious, whereas near the end, the stages will be severely contagious. So it all begins with the incubation period, which lasts around 7 to 19 days. During this stage, smallpox is not contagious. The incubation period is usually when the virus is inside the person before they can realize the symptoms and signs. The initial symptoms usually occurs from 2 to 4 days and may be contagious, but it's mostly contagious during the early rash and the testicular rash. The symptoms that occur include high fever, head and body aches, and sometimes vomiting. Early rash usually lasts around 4 days and is most contagious at this time. It starts as a small spot on the tongue and the mouth, and the areas change and the sores break open and spread the virus into the mouth and the throat. Once the sores in the mouth break down, the rash appears on the skin, starting on the face, spreading to the arms, legs, and lastly the head, hands, and feet. Most time it spreads to all parts of the body within 24 hours. At this rash, it appears the fever begins to decline and the person may start to feel better. Once the skin sores fill with fluid, the fever may rise again and remain high until the scabs form over the bumps. After the early rash phase, the post-ticular rash and the scabs form, which lasts around 10 days, which is also contagious during this time. The sores become pustules after 5 days. The pustules begin to form a crust and then a scab. The scabs will usually start to follow between 3 weeks after the rash appears, which lasts 6 days. It remains to be contagious. Once there's no scabs present, the person is no longer contagious with smallpox.
So smallpox is a disease that was pandemic to the world for many years. Even historically, there has been evidence to prove the existence of smallpox. Basically, it helps us understand diseases, how they spread, locally or globally, and it helps us consider different factors or measures which allow us to treat, prevent, or even stop these occurrences from happening. So the origin of smallpox is unknown. However, it's suspected to date back to the ancient Egyptian Empire, around 3rd century BC, where smallpox-like pustules were found on the head of a 3,000-year-old mummy. Some even say that the head of the mummy belongs to Pharaoh Ramses V. By the 4th century, smallpox has found its way into China and it had been devastating the people for many years. Documentation even states that many people have died. In fact, during this time, the people of China reached out to their god Yo-Ho Lung for protection from smallpox. 6th century Asia saw a great interest in business and trade, and there was even a connection between China, Korea, and Japan. However, the devastation caused by smallpox introduced disease into Japan. During this time, many forms of misconceptions came about, and many myths and false facts were believed to be true. One myth that was commonly believed around the world is the fact that the color red, such as a red light, would cure smallpox and protect the people. As time went on, with continued trade and business around the world, and a greater interest in travel, smallpox eventually spread into Europe, the Caribbean, and the Americas, making it a more known global disease.
Today, smallpox still poses as an international threat because people could use existing laboratory strains as biological weapons to harm other countries. As recent as the 20th century, smallpox has killed a total of 300 million people before it had been eradicated worldwide. The smallpox eradication strategy relied on mass vaccination. However, this strategy was ineffective in densely populated regions where containment measures were proved to be effective.
Prevention activities aim to stop transmission by finding and treating anyone who came in close contact with people who were infected, thereby preventing transmission to others. The last known natural case of smallpox was found in Somalia in 1977. However, eventually, smallpox would be eradicated in 1980 following a global immunization campaign held by the World Health Organization.
Surveillance programs reported cases and also collected morbidity and mortality data to better understand the disease known as smallpox and the effectiveness and duration of immunity from vaccines. In the 1950s, worldwide, we saw that there was a total of 50 million people infected by smallpox each year. Of all those people infected, 30% of those people were killed. From those infected by smallpox, a total of 1/3 of survivors were blind. In fact, low and middle income countries suffered an economic loss of $1 billion due to smallpox. Just smallpox is a viral disease that is very unique to humans. Like myself, epidemiologists had to work very hard both day and night because smallpox was a major cause of mortality rate around the world. And because of smallpox, we now understand the prevalence and incidence rates of other diseases and how to prevent them in the future.
So smallpox allowed me to realize the severity of a virus which can impact the society drastically. It allowed scientists, health professionals, and the public to have faith in society and the medical field. It showed us the progress of science as we terminated the virus.
So there's optimism that several other viral diseases are candidates for global eradication in the near future. However, we must have sufficient resources, sufficient efforts, and international cooperation from other countries. The eradication of smallpox is one of the few successful eradication campaigns done thus far, and is testament to the immeasurable public health benefits that can be achieved through eradication throughout the world.